Well, we'll go ahead and get started here. My name is Megan Wright. I am with Dell Technologies, and I'm joined by Steve Krasnick, the president of Huntington Technology.
Morning.
And we have a really great, presentation here today, some really good insight into some cybersecurity best practices. We definitely recognize that this is a hot topic right now, with everyone transitioning to this hybrid remote workspace right now during the current climate. So we wanted to touch on this really hot topic and give some really good takeaways and actionable items that you can apply to your business today. And how we're going to break this down is 7 total ways to boost your online security. And we recognize with everyone relying on their current personal Wi-Fi networks, it's really just more important now than ever to make sure that your network is secure and safeguarded against online threats and cyber criminals. And just to give you an idea, Dell, more than 65% of our workforce right now is working in a flexible capacity. And that has more than likely grown in the recent weeks. And so we really do have some good takeaways to start implementing into your business today. And Steve Krasnick with Huntington Technology is going to also give some really great insights as well, from his perspective also. And what we wanted to start with as our one of 7 tips for that online cybersecurity is starting with the educational piece. So just to give a fun little fact here, 33% of small businesses actually do not train their employees on how to identify common cyber attack tactics, such as phishing and some other examples that we'll go over through right now. And so this is kind of one of the easiest points to start with within your business, and make sure that you have a foundational level of education that your employees can be aware of and looking out for during these times of working more independent remotely.
Yes, Megan, that's a great point too. So it does start with education, and one of the key things that we help our clients with is really security awareness training. And in fact, there are online services and businesses out there that are just dedicated to helping small businesses with just this topic. We work with products called KnowBe4, WebRoot, and they have great tools for small businesses and individuals to help their teams stay secure. They teach employees about cybersecurity. They teach them about IT best practices, but really the idea is that these services send out fake emails, so you can test your team, you can test your staff, you can do the training, you can do the testing, and you can get this great feedback loop to see how your team is doing. And along the way, they're learning how to stay secure.
Absolutely, and actually, as an example, Dell sends out those test emails to Dell employees. It could be weekly, bi-weekly, they'll shake it up, and that's something that you would also want to implement within your business. And we have it where if you do, fail one of these tests, you go through immediate training. So that's something to implement within your own business that can really protect that data that you're looking to. And Steve mentioned, the phishing emails as a test, but there's also other areas from an educational standpoint that you want to look into. And so that's weak passwords. We'll go through that a little bit deeper in a couple slides ahead. And also fake Wi-Fi connections is something to look out for. So if you are transitioning back into public spaces, maybe going to coffee shops, on the patio, still socially distancing, of course. You may see that there's some Wi-Fi connections available from that coffee shop. Just ensure any Wi-Fi connections that you're joining are the legitimate Wi-Fi networks for that business. Because there are some fake Wi-Fi connections lurking out there, and that can compromise your security at that time if you do join. There's also such a thing as shoulder surfing. So this is more so if you are in person. There are cyber criminals that will truly look over your shoulder and try to access some of that data. And then we're also seeing man-in-the-middle attacks. And so that's if a website will pose as the legitimate website that you're looking to utilize. And they can mimic looking almost exactly as the real legitimate website. And from there, you could be entering personal information, credit card information, login information, and now that has been compromised. So just starting with this really great educational foundation with your employees can give a lot of confidence and prep work to be more cyber secure.
Yeah, Megan, I'll say that, probably on this, all these are great items and issues to be aware of. And the one that keeps us up the most, when we service about 2,000 different seats and several hundred different companies, is really the phishing emails. And it's the biggest threat we see for business security and IT security and your individual, even personal information. So it's a huge topic, and it's really the key security issue for us, for our clients.
Absolutely. And next up, we are recommending, as that second of 7 recommendations, installing cybersecurity. So installing antivirus software. So this is a really simple way from an endpoint to be confident that your system is secure. So from the Dell side, we utilize McAfee, which is our partner from a antivirus standpoint. And this is just kind of that peace of mind that within that endpoint system, whether that's a laptop or a desktop or even your phone and tablet, you have antivirus security on that system. At Dell, we kind of like to paint the picture of thinking of security in your own home. So antivirus is actually your security system within your home. So it's protecting that home from the inside. So that antivirus on your system, on your laptop or your desktop or other personal device is protecting your data from the inside. And a device without antivirus software it's truly vulnerable for cyber attacks from across the board. Steve, I'd love to hear your take on this as well.
Yeah. So listen, this is sort of the core of individual IT security is having the antivirus, anti-malware application installed on your individual machines. But what we see, though, is that folks don't, and businesses don't update those. So that software has to be updated regularly. It needs to be connecting back to the service provider, whether that's McAfee or Symantec or whoever that is, or Microsoft, and that it's being updated on a daily basis. It's easy for those applications to stop working, so you really just need to stay on top of them. And the other thing that we see now is that there are some fantastic next generation antivirus tools that are really based on artificial intelligence. And the advantage of these tools is that they're very sophisticated and they can actually stop attacks before they begin, in particular ransomware. So we'll probably touch on that a bit more, but some of these newer tools that we are using with some of our clients, for instance, can stop ransomware in its tracks. And that's a huge step in the right direction in terms of keeping your data safe and your business safe. Because even working from home, you can infect the office network from a home computer. And some of these newer tools will help alleviate that. So it's really important to take a look at that. And as people are working from home, that information is managed and the devices that they're on are being managed properly with antivirus and other security software.
And I love the point you made there with, as your employees are transitioning to a work from home setup, make sure that each of those systems are up to date on that antivirus, because I know we all see those updates that pop up saying that your antivirus is expiring soon or has expired. Don't ignore that, especially within this climate. Small businesses being more vulnerable, we're seeing, these cyber attacks heighten.
Yep. And I'll say too, just that goes just with your base software, your Microsoft, assuming you're using a Windows-based machine. In some cases, we need to make sure that those updates that Microsoft pushes out, you need to apply those because there's lots of security updates in there. And when you're at the office network administrator or someone there was managing that. Now if we're at home, a lot of that, people just forget that goes on. So it's really important to keep that in mind.
Absolutely. And before we move on, I would just want to highlight, and not to come from an area of fear, but on average, cyber attack can cost a small business up to $38,000. So it's really important to look at this as one of your top priorities during this time, just to make sure that you have the peace of mind and the confidence, and we're not worried about this being a potential risk for your business.
Great point.
All right, so for our next recommendation here, we definitely recommend to look into a two-step factor authentication. So a two-factor authentication setup. This is one of the easiest ways to boost your online security. A lot of applications are doing this already. So this may be something that you're using on your personal device, or if you have online applications or software that you're using, you can, for the most part, on most right now, set up a two-factor authentication where you may have the second option to utilize a fingerprint scan, a retina eye scan, or a secondary request on a personal device. So this could be sent to you via text message, email, it could be a time-sensitive password or secondary code, or it could just be as simple as an additional 4-digit password or your thumbprint. So a lot of applications, again, are doing this, such as banking applications, insurance applications, any area that you're entering your own personal data, login-wise, or credit card information, anything sensitive, you want to turn this on and set this up for sure.
Yeah, I want to jump in on this too, Megan. This is probably next to just making sure that the endpoints in your desktops are secure with antivirus. Setting up two-factor authentication is an absolute requirement for our clients, and the key is that you've got to do this on your email. Email is your biggest threat to being compromised. So if you enable two-factor authentication on your Office 365 email account or on your Gmail account or whatever email service you use, and just about all the good email services out there all offer two-factor authentication. We find it's absolutely critical to activating it on all of your devices wherever you get email. And it's actually pretty easy once you've gone through the process the first time, because you don't have to enter it in every time. But it's really, really important to do it on all their devices. And there's a bunch of tools out there. Microsoft has a tool, Authy, Google Authentication, Duo Security. These are great tools to help individual users create two-factor authentication for their software and their devices. And also for the small business owners who have an office network, your servers and your remote access also needs to have two-factor authentication, because that's a very significant target for cyber criminals to attack. So the two-factor is really a core tool for everybody these days, in our opinion.
Absolutely. And we kind of touched on this on the educational side, but creating advanced passwords is another truly easy, simple, foundational step to a more secure environment. And this is something that yourself and then all of your employees should be doing, on a consistent schedule. So, hackers and online threats are, growing stronger every single day. And so it's crucial to be one step ahead of their certain tactics. And so obviously one of them is guessing those easy passwords that can be really simple to compromise and take advantage of. And, I think in the past, maybe we were all guilty of it, of having the same password for every single application that you're using or every single piece of software that you're utilizing, or even logging into your system every single day. So if it is something that's easily guessable, and easily compromised, that's just one step further that these hackers and these cyber criminals have the opportunity to take advantage of that. And so some advanced password tips that we've put together and that we've seen to be really useful and helpful. The first one being choose a combination of lowercase, uppercase, punctuation, numbers, and special characters. So, sounds, so easy and, oh, that's, I'm doing that already. But it's really important to take this as serious as possible and take the time to really be creative with your password. And we want to recommend to avoid keeping a physical or digital record of these online passwords unless you're using a verified secure password keeper. But gone are the days of having the Post-it notes that you stick onto the top of your laptop with all of your passwords, or sending yourself an email with those passwords. Avoid any of those at all costs. This is something that can be easily compromised. We also recommend avoiding nicknames, birthdays, pet names, anything that you might be posting every single day on social media or those other types of platforms that can be easily guessed. And then shake it up application to application. Like I mentioned earlier, you don't want to risk having the same password for something as simple as one application that maybe doesn't have super crucial company data, but then also having that same password for something that holds all of your customer information, all of your database that is critical for your company to be working every single day. So that's what we recommend there. And Steve, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, those are great ideas, and all very important. What we try and recommend, especially for home use, it's terrific, as well as when you're in the office. But use a password manager. There are terrific password manager applications out there that will take care of a lot of these issues for you. So you all you have to do is remember one password, which accesses your vault of all your passwords, and it will automatically log you into a lot of these common websites that you use. So password managers, I think, are fantastic. A lot of people overlook them. They work on all your devices, so you'll have it on your phone, you'll have it at your office, your desktop machine, you have it on a laptop, and they're all web-based so that they'll communicate and synchronize between each device. Ones that I really like are LastPass, OnePass, Dashlane. You can just do a search on Google for them, but those are probably the top three. But using any password manager is a great idea.
There is a question, a great question. Mark Rubenstein is asking, which is very similar to what you said. Are password managers secure? Maybe you could talk a tiny bit about their security. What's preventing them from being hacked?
Sure. Nothing's preventing the from being hacked. But what the end user needs to know is that when they're going to pick one good password that they need to remember, following all Megan's guidelines, for instance, for that one password, that'd be very difficult to try and guess. So it's not perfect, but it's better than having a list of passwords in an open on a piece of paper on your phone that's unencrypted. So listen, they're not perfect, but it's a far and away better tool to help organize and secure them. There is and I happen to use this tool, there is a special key called the YubiKey app technology that it's like a USB key that you can plug into your computer. So when you do use your password manager, you actually have to authenticate with this key to your computer, and it knows and you've got the key, so in theory, that's you. So that's what I use and we recommend for clients too, who really are concerned about the security and using their password manager. And it does make it almost next to impossible to hack with that additional level of security with the key.
Thank you very much. That was a great answer.
And next up, we wanted to touch on using a firewall as kind of your next step in the strategy to combat cyber criminals. So this is, whether you're working from home or you're working within the office, based on what kind of transition period your business is in, or if you have this hybrid combination of employees both in the office and working remote, it's extremely important to utilize a firewall. So this is actually a physical piece of equipment that you would introduce into your environment within your office, your building, or even your home, depending if you work from home 100% of the time with a remote team. And so this is going to provide you with high performance intrusion prevention, malware blocking, content URL filtering, and application control. And so whenever I was mentioning kind of thinking of your strategy of cybersecurity as the security within your home, or antivirus is your alarm system within the home, the firewall is your deadbolt on the outside of the home, protecting any outside intrusions from occurring. And Steve, I'll let you give your points as well.
So again, this is also a core piece of the puzzle. And I think I want to just differentiate a little between sort of the office firewall, the business firewall, and your home Wi-Fi router firewall. And we got to address both of them, because if folks are working from home, the business owners need to understand that they've got to have that, and if their staff are remoting back into the office, they need a good firewall at that office to be able to provide them with with a secure connection back to that office. And a business class firewall is what provides that. When we're talking about our home Wi-Fi routers, we get very concerned because most people just don't secure their routers properly. Now, the manufacturers of those routers are doing better jobs of having them come out of the box more securely, but those passwords on those home Wi-Fi routers need to be changed, need to be secured better, and your passwords for your Wi-Fi connections on those routers need to be just as secure. So both those pieces are very critical to making sure that you've got a good, secure network, both at the office and at home. And I will also say that business owners or folks who are involved in healthcare or financial services, they actually have they're regulated in many cases and have compliance requirements to ensure that their communications are secure and managed properly. So they need to take extra care to verify they've got the right tools in place, they've got the right firewall, and the firewalls are working, and that they're secure both at home and at the office. And through both of those, you get your virtual private network connection that we're going to talk about soon again in the seminar here. But that both devices allow you to have that virtual private connection to the office.
Fantastic. And next step in this strategy of being secure is going to be backing up your data. So, with all of the tips that we've discussed so far of having those protected passwords and introducing a firewall into your environment, introducing education to your employees overall, there's still chance of human error. And so having a backup strategy for all of your crucial, critical business information, and on the other side of your home information as well, this can, like Steve's kind of representing, there are two sides of this, is going to be extremely important, just to make sure that you have a backup, for lack of better terms. And so we have, quite a few different options within Dell Technologies, and I know Steve will mention some recommendations on his end as well. But the idea of backing up can be a little overwhelming, but there's lots of different solutions based on the size of your business. And so we represent within Dell Small Business 1 to 99 employees. So, you're not too small, or you're not to a point where you're a little bit too large for us to work with there, between that 1 to 99 employees. And we can find the right solution, even, narrowing down to backup solutions specifically for the size of data that you're looking to back up. So we have actual hybrid cloud solutions, which kind of uses a combination of cloud storage with a physical server solution for backing up your information or your data. We have full cloud services, so for full cloud application storage services. And then we also have just complete on-site physical storage solutions to also back up. So this is just having that kind of second point of storage that can, if your data is compromised at one endpoint, you have a secondary source to be back up and running with all of that crucial information, applications, everyday, data and needs that you have from your business to stay running business as usual. You would have that at a second point.
Yeah, Megan, those are great points. That's a data backup. Again, it's sort of the core thing people take for granted, but it's when they take it for granted, they find when they need the file, then all of a sudden it's not there. So just using some sort of an online. So if you're at home on your personal device, you absolutely got to have some sort of online backup tool, or for instance, just an external hard drive you maybe attach to your computer and do backups that way. If you're a Mac user, Mac has a time machine software built right into it. It's a great tool, and it backs up the entire machine. So if you're on a Mac, make sure you've done a time machine backup. Of course, you have iCloud for that. You're on a Windows machine. What we've seen with a lot of our clients have moved from the office to home. They forget that within the office, a lot of their machines were being backed up there. But when they moved home, that stopped because there are local backup devices at the office. So you need to check to make sure that you have a means of backing up your business laptop, because folks are storing important data on there. They're out of the office now. They used to store it on the server at the office. Now they're storing it on the machine that they're using at home, for instance. That's business information. We need to secure that and back it up. So all the tools you talked about, Megan, and others that are out there can help you make sure these backups are done, and very economically as well. And the other thing I want to just point out too is, your cloud-based email and all your cloud-based services, for instance, Office 365 or Gmail, if you're using OneDrive from Microsoft or SharePoint, those files need to be backed up as well. And a lot of people just don't realize that. And especially from a business perspective, that those services back the data up for themselves, not for the end user. So if you delete a file and it's gone beyond their retention period, you won't get that file back. So if it's important, there are tools, online and cloud-based tools, to back up Office 365, to back up Gmail, to back up your business data now that's being stored in the cloud. So yeah, really critical, but there's a solution there for just about every means.
Fantastic points. And we will end these 7 recommendations with something that Steve mentioned just a bit ago, and that is setting up a private virtual network. You will commonly hear this mentioned as or referenced as VPN. And so having a virtual private network, it's another critical step. And so this will actually take a public network that you're utilizing and encrypt it to create a private network, so that all of your traffic that you are doing online is now encrypted and virtually, protected from those cyber threats or cyber criminals. So this will encrypt your web surfing, just giving you another layer of that protection from these remote threats out there. And I'll let Steve go into a little bit more detail on that as well.
No problem. Thank you. So the VPN is really a critical piece of this tool, and it's really supported by some of the firewalls, for instance, that you get. But also, I want to just differentiate between a business firewall and a a business VPN connection and a personal VPN connection. Both are important. So folks who are working from home now connecting to the office, they should be using a business VPN that's connected to their office network through a firewall at their office. And if they're not using that, that's something that they should reconsider. but that's how we're going to keep that data secure and allows them to work from home almost as though they're at the office. So typically when you do that, I can use all the resources I have in the office, a printer, access to files. So they're great productivity tools. The personal VPN service is slightly different, also important, because if you're not connecting to the office and you're out there and you're a consultant, one-man shop or one-person shop, and you've got clients, you should be using a personal VPN service to protect your data. So when you're out, you're surfing, and if you're not at home, when you're out in the public, that you're protecting the data that you're communicating with and the folks that you're communicating with, so that you're not opening yourself up to potential attacks. So personal VPN services are all over the place, inexpensive to use, very highly recommended, but they are different than the business VPN. Both are important though.
Fantastic. So I know we've gone over quite a bit of information here today with these 7 tactics to boost that online security. And just to give an overall recap, we mentioned first and foremost the educational piece. So again, just making sure that your workforce and yourself are confident and educated on what to look out for cyber threats and how to avoid those cyber threats from an educational standpoint. Next up was involving antivirus into your endpoints. So that's your laptops, your desktops, your tablets, and personal devices. Having that actual endpoint antivirus security, such as McAfee or those other solutions out there, that can be that peace of mind from that device itself. We also introduced looking into a firewall. So having that additional piece of equipment there to act as this kind of safety net for those outside intrusions within your business. And we mentioned on the business side of firewalls, and then also your internet router from home. We also discussed having that backup strategy. So making sure that you do have a plan in place to back up your data that's critical for your business to be up and running every single day. And then having this private, virtual private network from a personal and business standpoint. Steve, did I miss any?
No, you got them. You got them.
Recap?
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah. Great summary.
Fantastic. We do want to share some contact information. So StartupNation members and all of the Detroit Startup attendees and viewers here today have access to our contact information and to get in touch for small business advisors, our team that's actually there to help recognize your small business needs and put together solutions from a security side to hardware solutions and everything in between. And I know Steve has, a similar team and some contact information as well. We'll go over, but you can reach out to me directly at Megan_Wright@Dell.com. And then we also have a landing page for StartupNation members. Detroit Startup Week attendees can also attend, and that's Dell.com/StartupNation. And you can actually use that landing page as an end-all be-all. It's going to have all of our contact information to get in touch with our with our small business advisors. And then also some exclusive savings that you can access. So we are promoting 10% off right now within Dell Technologies for our Dell branded solutions. And so please visit that to access those promotions. And I also did want to mention too, we are running a giveaway through Detroit Startup Week. Really exciting. This is going to be a full work from home solution setup. So this is a laptop, a curved monitor, docking station, wireless mouse and keyboard combo, webcam, and dedicated headset. So truly everything that you need to be working from home efficiently and effectively, we are giving that away at the end of this week's event. And so that's a $3,000 value. So we're really excited to give that away to a Detroit Startup Week attendee. And we'll be excited to announce that at the end of this week.
That's a great bundle.
And Steve, do you want to share your contact information as well?
Sure, thank you. So we can certainly be reached through our website, which is at huntingtontechnology.com. And my direct email is steve, S-T-E-V-E, at huntingtontechnology.com. And we're based in Southfield, Michigan, and we do business all over the state of Michigan and Massachusetts, as well as other areas around the country. So we have a very great reach out of our small office here.
Fantastic, and we'd love to open it up for additional Q&A. I know we had one come through a little bit earlier, but if anyone else has questions they'd like to drop in the chat, that would be fantastic.
I do have a question. First of all, thank you so much for sharing this with us, and also for telling us about the giveaway. That's awesome, and for your contact information. But I do have a question. As like a potential startup founder or a potential small business founder, is there a difference in the tech stack between like a really small startup, like a really like 1 to 10 person startup, and like a company? Or would you advise us getting the same level of securities and software? Is it all the same?
I'll take that if you want. So I would tell you, generally, yes. When we put into a 10-person office, is a very similar technology we would put into a 50-person office, and there are different levels of devices and equipment, for instance, that provide similar levels of security. So, it's really a question of, what kind of budget do you have for your business, and there are absolutely tools and solutions to fit into those budgets that provide the right level of security. And then there's always the decision of, there certainly are trade-offs when it comes to what kind of dollars you can invest in your business. But given the tools that are out there today, it's in my mind pretty easy to stay secure if you stay disciplined and vigilant and use the tools that are out there. Antivirus software, antivirus licenses are very inexpensive, and they often come free, for instance, from Microsoft. So that's kind of a no-brainer. And these other tools, security awareness tools, and a firewall, they're all the newer devices today. They all are much more advanced, and as long as they're configured properly, they'll do the job for you. So I think that to make it all work, you just need to have the right person to assist you to get it all up and running.
Yeah, and just to touch on that as well, I think it's about having a conversation with teams such as, Steve Krasnick's team and Dell, as well as speaking with an advisor and informing them of, hey, this is what our business infrastructure looks like right now, number of employees, how many devices that you have within your environment, what security features you already have implemented, and then what's your goal and what your growth pattern may look like. That way, I am going to be pulling in 2 additional team members in the next couple of months, or hiring new team members in the next few months, just so you know what to look out for and what to begin and continue to introduce from a security standpoint, like antivirus, and making sure that the infrastructure that you have can support these additional growth periods and you're secure all the way through.
Great point, Megan. Absolutely.
Thank you so much. There is another question, and Steve, you did touch upon this earlier, but maybe if you could repeat that. What are some recommended and trusted password keeper apps?
So, yeah, no problem. One, I happen to use LastPass, which is very well liked out there in terms of reviews. OnePass is another one that I see a lot. Dashlane is a third. There's a Keeper is another one that I see a lot. If you're both the apps, the App Store and the Google Play Store, you search through any of them, the top 3 or 4 that come up are probably the best ones that you'll find out there. And it really, sometimes it's just easiest to play around with a couple, see which one, which works for you, and in your comfort level, and you start to use it. But it takes a little time to get used to it and work it into your routine. But they all work very well, and they all generally do the same thing.
Thank you very much. I do have another question, Steve or Megan, if one of you could take this. But growing up, like I guess I am part of like the younger generation, and it was just common law that Macs were safer than Windows because apparently they don't get viruses. So I was hoping if that is true at all, or if you can debunk that, I would appreciate that so much.
You want to take that, Megan?
Sure. So would like to debunk, at least on the side of speaking for Dell Technology Solutions, so for our laptops and desktops. So within the solution options that we provide for security purposes, from what Steve mentioned, your Windows software, like your operating system that comes on your system preloaded, there's a lot of advanced security features that Windows 10 Pro offers at this time. All of our systems would come pre-configured with Windows 10 Pro or Windows 10 Home, depending if you're purchasing a business grade or a consumer grade system. So that is going to add a really great layer of protection from a security standpoint. But then also we do recommend having an antivirus be installed on your system, whether it's a laptop or a desktop, to continue that protection from a malware and intrusion prevention standpoint. So with those two tactics in mind, you can rest assured that your PC is well protected, and from the endpoint side.
I'll discuss the Mac. On the Mac side, though, I would tell you that no, Macs are not impervious to malware and viruses. They are not in the past, they weren't as much a target as Windows machines were. But it's just as important, 100%, to have security software on your Mac device. So I would want to completely debunk the idea that you can't get malware or a virus or ransomware or some other bad technology or bad software on a Mac. So any application, any of these antivirus applications, they all work on both Windows and Mac machines. So definitely use it if you have a Mac.
And I think if we don't have any more questions, I just wanted to take this opportunity, Megan and Steve, to thank you very much for the opportunity to share your wisdom, your insight with us here at Detroit Startup Week.